first glance, you might think that there aren't that many art majors or there aren't that many music majors at Stanford, and maybe the arts community is lacking in that way. But actually, it's quite the reverse, because for every person that you have that is an art major at Stanford, you also have an engineer or someone who's a computer scientist, or myself, I'm a human biology major, and I'm very involved with both music and the art scene at Stanford.
The beauty of our environment and our culture is that so much of what we do has kind of bubbled up from the student energy and enthusiasm. So it's a very grassroots approach to creating new programs and opportunities, and in order to find out about them, you basically just have to start asking people questions, asking as many people as you can questions about what they're doing, letting them know what you're interested in, and looking for the right match.
Well, for starters, when I came as a freshman, I found out that so many people had like a secret talent. There was a kid who had composed a concerto, there was a kid who was learning how to become a jazz musician, there was someone who had already painted and had their work showing in museums. It was amazing. Everyone here has so much talent to share, and even people who don't have arts talent also get to participate in that by being like a fan for your friend who does have artistic talent.
I think the coolest thing about the Stanford arts community is that people are coming from around the world and sharing their arts together. Over the course of any year, you can be seeing performances from every corner of the globe, things that you would never have seen otherwise. You're being exposed to so much more culture and so much more art than I could ever have imagined anywhere else.
At Stanford, we have a 6-day orientation process for freshmen prior to the start of classes. And during those 6 days, you'll get a sense of the intellectual offerings through our departments. You'll get great advising. You'll be introduced to the over 600 student organizations we have on campus. I think for a student who's interested in the arts, you'll come away after just that first week with a sense of how rich and complex and multifaceted our arts offerings are.
Stanford has over 100 arts-related groups on campus right now, and that number is always growing because it's very easy to start your own groups. The types of groups are anything from performance and music performance, dance performance, to arts-related service projects and service groups, to medias and publications, radio shows, literature reviews, anything like that. Anything that you're into, you can basically find a group for it here on campus.
Well, the way I found out about the arts groups is every year Stanford puts on an activities fair, and just from walking around you can see what kind of stuff's out there. So I think that's how a lot of people actually find out about stuff that they want to do. They just, just minding their own business, walking around, checking out the activities, picking up free stuff, and then they end up finding something they really like, and that's how they get involved.
So I found out about Talisman at the O Show, and seeing these groups perform on campus before I came to Stanford and during orientation week. Just going to a whole bunch of events and seeing these groups perform taiko, perform a cappella, perform everything you could possibly imagine. That was one of the coolest weeks I've ever experienced, the first week at Stanford.
My freshman year, I got more involved with the South Asian community on campus, went to some culture shows and saw some incredible dancing, decided to become a part of that.
I know I got involved in the Stanford Improvisers because I went to one of their spring quarter shows one time, and it was just the most fun I'd ever had.
There was a students' art exhibit that just went up in one of the dining halls on campus. There was Winter One Acts, which is like a theater thing that they do in Memorial Auditorium, happened. Just last night there was an off-campus singer-guitarist who came and performed at the coffee house. Tonight there's going to be a jazz show even. I mean, there's kind of a lot of things going on.
There are all kinds of groups on campus whose primary purpose is to help you. The ASSU, SOCA, specifically in the arts, you have Stanford Film Society, Stanford Concert Network, KZSU, SCBN, and all kinds of groups who just want you to get your stuff out there.
Since I'm just now a sophomore, and I've really been able to see and watch and be a part of the arts expanding at Stanford, and really creating more opportunities on an individual level for these artists and for maybe you who you don't think you're going to be an art major, you don't think you're going to be a music major, but you've got this passion that you don't want to give up when you get here.
You can really get a lot of valuable experience, advice, and training from somebody who's already walked your path. And the Alumni Center and the CDC and the Haas Center are very good at connecting you with those people to really kind of further your vision for what you want to do with your life.
I think right now is the time to come to Stanford if you're interested in the arts, because we're devoting resources, attention, effort, energy, and money toward really enhancing the vibrancy of all of our art offerings for undergraduates and graduate students on this campus.
The Arts Initiative is an effort to rethink the entire curriculum and residential life in order to enrich it and bring the arts into the everyday experience of all Stanford students. To make this possible, we're creating a new art center. We call it the Stanford Institute for Creativity and the Arts, so that what we do is completely reimagine what an education looks like with the arts at its core, even if you're not thinking of being an arts major.
So my undergrad degree was in management science and engineering, which, as you can probably tell by the title, has nothing to do with arts. So I kind of explored that interest of mine by getting involved in groups such as Student Organizing Committee for the Arts. And now, as a senior, I've kind of changed paths and I'm majoring in music science and technology. So you kind of see how my path has kind of been directed by these other interests of mine.
One of the other really important things too is these groups give you an opportunity to develop your leadership skills. You can go your freshman year from just being in the group to your sophomore year running it completely. And you learn so much about the real world, about business, about finance, about how to motivate people. Those are things that are going to benefit you in the long run. They're going to benefit you 10, 15, 20 years down the line when you're doing something which may be completely different from being in a dance group or running Stanford Concert Network.
Stanford is a university where if you can dream it, you can make it happen. This was true when I was a student, and quite frankly, it's one of the reasons I love working here. I love being a part of an institution that can listen to a student's great idea and provide backing and support and actually help the student make it happen. We are a young institution, we are on the West Coast, we are entrepreneurial and pioneering, and as a result, new ideas are not frowned upon, new ideas are not rejected, new ideas are not met with, "Thank you very much, we don't do it that way." New ideas are embraced and celebrated and brought to fruition at Stanford.
When people ask me what's most unique about Stanford, and I think about the other great research universities we have in the United States and around the world, I then realize that there's one core value that we have embedded in our history, in our culture, that's really made us a unique institution. And that's that we are pioneers. We are ready to embrace change, to think about new ways of doing things, to constantly reinvent ourselves. And I think that's an important part of what has made Stanford unique. And I think it is that pioneering spirit that goes back to the Stanfords and the earliest days of the university. It's the tradition of the West. It's being on the Pacific coast that has made us a unique institution, and something which I think we have to continue to ensure that it thrives as we go forward.